The arrival. The massive vessel Dominion emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its gleaming hull reflecting distant starlight as it decelerated. Commander Zirax stood on the command deck, his scaled skin shimmering under the ambient light as he gazed at the holographic display of the small blue planet. "Analysis of Earth complete, Commander," reported Science Officer Vex, her 6 digits dancing across the control panel. "Preliminary scans show a technologically limited species. They've barely reached their moon, rely primarily on fossil fuels, and maintain divided nation-states. Their most advanced weapons are fusion bombs with limited delivery capability." Zirax's thin lips curved into what passed for a smile among the Voxery. His species had conquered 17 star systems in the past century, absorbing useful races and eliminating those deemed worthless. The Voxery Empire needed resources and laborers, and each new world brought both. "Any orbital defenses?" Zirax asked, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Negligible, Commander. Primitive satellites, 1 small space station, and no defensive platforms. They appear completely unprepared for extraterrestrial contact." Zirax felt a familiar satisfaction. Another easy conquest for the Empire. Earth would soon join the growing list of Voxery protectorates, a polite term for subjugated worlds. "Set course for Earth orbit. Prepare the first contact protocols. Remember, we present ourselves as benefactors first. The High Council prefers willing subjects when possible." As the Dominion moved through the solar system, bypassing the gas giants without pause, the crew monitored Earth's communications. Radio signals, digital transmissions, and satellite data flooded their analysis systems. "They're remarkably divided," commented Communications Officer Trell. "7 major powers, dozens of smaller nations, constant conflicts over resources and ideology." "Excellent," Zirax replied. "Divided planets are easily conquered. We'll simply approach the strongest powers and offer them dominance over their rivals in exchange for allegiance." Yet as they approached Mars' orbit, Zirax felt an unfamiliar sensation crawling along his spine ridges, something that might have been unease in a less confident commander. "Something isn't right," he murmured. "They've achieved nuclear power, digital technology, and rudimentary space travel, yet they've made no attempt to colonize their system. Run deeper scans." The crew hurried to comply, but found nothing unusual. Just a seemingly primitive species on the cusp of proper space travel, confined to their homeworld, vulnerable and unaware. What Zirax couldn't know was that deep beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, General Maya Chen stood in Earth's Unified Defense Command, watching the approaching alien vessel with quiet satisfaction. Around her, hundreds of officers monitored holographic displays, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of quantum interfaces that appeared to be ordinary glass, but contained processing power beyond anything the Voxery could imagine. "They've passed Mars' orbit, General," reported Colonel Jackson. "Still running standard scan patterns. Quantum masking is holding. They see only what we want them to see." General Chen nodded, her expression calm. "Has the Security Council been notified?" "Yes, Mom. All members are standing by." Humanity had known this day would come. 60 years ago, when their quantum physicists discovered evidence of alien civilizations, Earth's nations had made an unprecedented decision. Rather than announce themselves to the galaxy, they would develop in secret, building technologies that operated on principles so different from conventional physics that other species would never detect them. The public still believed in nation-states, border conflicts, and technological limitations. The United Nations remained as theater, while the real power, the Earth Unified Council, operated from hidden facilities around the world. Quantum technology, consciousness-linked interfaces, dimensional phasing, all developed in absolute secrecy, masked by a carefully maintained facade of primitive development. "Put me through to the Council," Chen requested. The main display shifted to show 7 faces, the leaders of Earth's true government. "The visitors are proceeding exactly as expected," Chen reported. Their ship design matches our deep space observations of other conquered worlds. This is almost certainly the expansionist Voxeri Empire. Are they following standard first contact protocols? Asked Counselor Adebayo. Yes. No aggressive moves yet. They believe we're primitive and divided. Good, Council Chairman Nakamura nodded. Assessment, General. Chen studied the data. They're arrogant, overconfident. They've entered our system without considering we might detect them. Their technology is advanced by conventional standards, but they have no conception of quantum physics as we've developed it. They can't detect our defense grid. Recommendation: continue with Thunderbolt Protocol. Let them think we're defenseless. When they make their move, we'll be ready. The Council voted unanimously. Earth would play along with the Voxeri's first contact scenario, appearing primitive and awed while gathering intelligence on their technology and intentions. Back on the Dominion, Zirax prepared to announce their presence. The massive ship settled into high Earth orbit, visible to telescopes across the planet. Begin transmission, he ordered. Broadcast on all frequencies. The message went out in waves, interrupting television broadcasts, radio signals, internet connections, and communication networks worldwide. Every screen displayed the same image. Commander Zirax, his scaled skin gleaming under the ship's lights. People of Earth, he began, his voice automatically translated into hundreds of human languages. I am Commander Zirax of the Voxeri Empire. We bring greetings from the stars. Your world has been chosen to join our galactic community. We offer you protection, advanced technology, and prosperity in exchange for your allegiance. Your leaders should prepare to meet with us to discuss terms of your integration. The message created exactly the reaction the humans wanted. News channels showed crowds gathering in cities, some panicking, others celebrating. Religious leaders declared it the end times or the fulfillment of prophecy. Military units visibly deployed to major cities. World leaders gathered at the United Nations headquarters for what appeared to be an emergency meeting. All of it was carefully orchestrated theater. Council Chairman Nakamura, operating under his public identity as UN Secretary General, addressed the world. We have received a message from an alien civilization. After emergency consultations, we have agreed to meet with their representatives. We propose a neutral location, an artificial platform in the Pacific Ocean, for this historic first contact. Zirax watched this response with satisfaction. They're reacting as expected, he told his officers. Fear, awe, confusion. They've invited us to land at coordinates of their choosing. Is that safe, Commander? Asked Security Chief Mox. Zirax laughed. What threat could these primitives possibly pose? Our personal shields alone can withstand their strongest weapons. The next day, Zirax's shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. With him were 11 officers chosen for their imposing appearance and experience with first contact protocols. Their craft, a sleek vessel with weapons concealed beneath its smooth surface, broke through the clouds to reveal a sight that gave even the experienced commander pause. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean stood an enormous circular platform, at least 2 kilometers across. It appeared to float on the water's surface, its center featuring a landing pad surrounded by elegant buildings with curved white walls. They built this quickly, Officer Vex noted with surprise. Our scans showed nothing here 3 days ago. Zirax frowned. Perhaps they had it hidden underwater. Interesting. As the shuttle landed smoothly on the pad, Zirax observed human aircraft keeping their distance. Primitive jets and helicopters that posed no threat. The platform itself appeared to be made of simple materials, concrete and steel reinforced with carbon composites. When the shuttle doors opened, Zirax led his delegation onto Earth's surface. The gravity felt slightly stronger than they were used to, but their bodies adjusted quickly. The air smelled of salt and something unfamiliar. Flowers placed in decorative arrangements around the landing area. A small group of humans approached, just 5 of them, dressed in simple dark suits with no visible weapons or protection. Zurax's threat assessment systems indicated they were ordinary biological beings with no implants or enhancements. The human in front, a woman with auburn hair and calm eyes, stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Welcome to Earth," she said in clear, measured tones. "I am Dr. Elara Wright, Earth's designated diplomat. We are honored by your visit and look forward to peaceful exchange." Zurax noticed something odd. The woman was speaking her native language, but he understood her perfectly. His translation implant shouldn't have been this accurate with a newly encountered language. "We are the Voxeri Empire," Zurax replied, standing tall so he towered over the humans. "We have visited thousands of worlds and brought them into our protection. Your planet has great potential, but requires guidance. The High Council has decreed that you shall join our empire as a protectorate species." Dr. Wright showed no reaction to his tone. She simply smiled politely and gestured toward one of the white buildings. "Perhaps we should discuss terms over refreshments. Our ways may be different from what you expect." Zurax agreed with a slight nod, certain this would be a simple negotiation. The humans appeared respectful, even awed by the aliens' presence. This was exactly how first contact usually proceeded with less advanced species. As they walked toward the building, Zurax noticed small details that puzzled him. The humans showed no fear. Their heartbeats were steady, their body language relaxed. Most species meeting the Voxeri for the first time exhibited at least some anxiety. Inside the building, a circular room awaited them with a large table at its center. The walls were plain white, the furnishings simple but elegant. Refreshments had been laid out: water, fruits, and what appeared to be some form of protein. "Please be seated," Dr. Wright invited. "We have much to discuss about our future relationship." As Zurax took his place at the table, he felt that strange sensation again, the crawling along his spine ridges. Something about these humans wasn't right. They were too calm, too composed for a species facing their first alien contact. What he didn't know was that beneath the platform, connected by quantum links that the Voxeri couldn't detect, General Chen and the Earth Council were watching everything, analyzing every word, every gesture, gathering intelligence on a potential enemy while presenting the perfect mask of primitive wonder. The trap was set. The game had begun. The revelation. Zurax settled into his seat at the diplomatic table, towering over the human representatives. The room's simplicity bothered him. Primitive species usually try to impress visitors with their finest technologies and cultural achievements. These humans offered only a bare chamber with minimal decoration. "Let me outline the benefits of joining the Voxeri Empire," Zurax began, his voice carrying the practiced tone of a conqueror disguised as a benefactor. "We offer advanced medical technology that will extend your lifespans by centuries. Energy systems that will eliminate your dependence on fossil fuels. Faster than light travel to explore the stars. All we require in return is your allegiance and a modest contribution of resources." Dr. Wright nodded politely. "Very generous. And if we decline?" The directness of the question surprised Zurax. Usually, representatives of primitive worlds were so awed by the technology being offered that they never considered refusal. "That would be unfortunate," Zurax replied, letting menace enter his voice. "The Empire requires your system's resources. We prefer willing participants, but we are prepared to take what we need regardless of your decision." Dr. Wright showed no reaction to the threat. She simply sipped her water and set the glass down carefully. "I see. And how many worlds have joined your empire willingly after hearing those terms?" 17 systems have accepted our protection," Zurax answered proudly. "Those who resisted were replaced with more cooperative settlers." "Replaced," Dr. Wright repeated. "You mean exterminated." Zurax's inner eyelids flickered with annoyance. "We prefer removed. The galaxy has limited habitable worlds. It would be wasteful to leave them in the hands of species unwilling to contribute to the greater good of the Empire." Unbeknownst to Zurax, every word of this exchange was being analyzed deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. General Chen and her staff listened as the alien commander revealed the Empire's true intentions. "We've heard enough," Council Chairman Nakamura stated through the secure quantum link. "Proceed with Phase 2, Dr. Wright." Back in the meeting room, Dr. Wright's demeanor shifted subtly. The polite smile remained, but her eyes hardened. "Commander Zurax, I think it's time we were honest with each other. You've come to our world believing us primitive and defenseless. You've made it clear that our choices are subjugation or extinction. Neither option is acceptable to humanity." Zurax laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. "You have no other options. Your most advanced weapons couldn't penetrate our ship's shields. We detected no defensive platforms in your system, no significant space presence. What could you possibly do against a Voxeri battle cruiser?" Dr. Wright stood, straightening her suit jacket. "Perhaps we should show you." She made a simple gesture with her hand. Suddenly, the plain white walls around them shimmered and disappeared, revealing a vast command center beneath the diplomatic platform. Hundreds of officers worked at stations that featured technology unlike anything Zurax had ever seen. Interfaces that seemed to respond to thought, holographic displays that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, energy signatures that his instruments couldn't categorize. "What is this?" Zurax demanded, rising to his feet. His security team reached for concealed weapons. "This is the real Earth," Dr. Wright replied calmly. "What you've seen until now has been a carefully maintained facade. For 60 years, we've known about species like yours. Rather than announcing ourselves to the galaxy, we chose to develop in secret." "Impossible," Zurax snarled. "Our scans would have detected advanced technology. Not technology based on quantum physics beyond your understanding," Dr. Wright countered. "Everything you've detected about Earth has been exactly what we wanted you to see. The divided nations, the primitive satellites, the limited weapons, all part of a masquerade designed for exactly this moment." On the Dominion, alarms suddenly blared. "Commander," Officer Trell's panicked voice came through Zurax's communicator. "We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Objects are appearing from nowhere. Defense platforms, orbital stations, ships. They're everywhere." "Impossible," Zurax roared again. "Full scan of the system. Now." The holographic display in the command center shifted to show the Sol system. Points of light winked into existence around every planet. In the asteroid belt, at the Lagrange points, a defensive network of staggering complexity that had been invisible until this moment. "We call it the quantum grid," General Chen explained, stepping forward from a doorway that hadn't existed moments before. "Technology that exists partially in other dimensions can't be detected by conventional sensors. We've been watching your empire for decades, Commander. We know your tactics, your capabilities, your weaknesses." Zurax's communicator crackled again. "Commander, 3 more Voxeri ships have just arrived at the system edge. The High Council sent reinforcements." A cold smile touched General Chen's lips. "Right on schedule." "You knew," Zurax whispered, comprehension dawning. "We've been monitoring your communications since you entered the system," Chen confirmed. "Your call for backup was expected. In fact, we counted on it." In the display, the newly arrived Voxeri vessels moved confidently into the system, unaware of the trap they were entering. As they passed Mars orbit, dozens of platforms suddenly phased into normal space around them, surrounding the ships with weapons unlike anything the Voxeri had encountered. "Last chance, Commander," Dr. Wright said. "Order your fleet to withdraw. We have no desire for conflict, but we will not be conquered or removed." Zurax's pride overcame his growing fear. "The Voxeri Empire does not retreat. Your deception has been clever, but our ships are battle-tested across 17 systems. Whatever weapons you've hidden cannot match our experience." General Chen sighed. "We were hoping for a peaceful resolution." She touched a control on her wrist. "Thunderbolt actual. Execute." Throughout the solar system, Earth's hidden defenses activated simultaneously. Quantum-phased energy beams struck the Voxeri reinforcement ships, bypassing their shields entirely as they targeted propulsion and weapons systems with surgical precision. Within moments, the mighty vessels hung dead in space, disabled without being destroyed. On the Dominion, chaos erupted as systems failed in cascading sequence. Gravity fluctuated, lights dimmed, and control interfaces went dark. The crew watched in horror as their ship, the pride of the Voxeri fleet, was neutralized without firing a single shot. "What? What have you done?" Zirax demanded, his voice barely a whisper. "Quantum disruption field," Chen explained. "It selectively interferes with specific technologies. Your ships are disabled but intact. Your crews are unharmed. We could have destroyed them, but that isn't our way." Dr. Wright approached Zirax, who had slumped back into his chair, his 4 eyes wide with shock. "Commander, humanity doesn't want war with the Voxeri Empire. We don't want conquest or dominion. What we want is recognition. Acknowledgement that Earth is not a target for colonization, but a sovereign power to be respected. The High Council will never accept this," Zirax muttered. "They'll send more ships, an entire fleet." "They could," Chen agreed. "But consider what they would learn from this encounter. Your ships were defeated without casualties, your technology neutralized by systems you couldn't even detect. Would starting a war with an adversary of unknown capabilities serve the Empire's interests?" For the first time in his long career, Zirax faced a situation with no clear path to victory. His mission had been simple: assess Earth for conquest or resource extraction. Instead, he'd discovered a species with technology that made the Voxeri look primitive by comparison. "What do you propose?" he finally asked. Dr. Wright sat across from him. "We propose a different kind of first contact. Not as conqueror and conquered, but as equals. Earth will not join your empire, but we are open to trade, cultural exchange, and diplomatic relations. We offer friendship rather than servitude." Zirax considered his options. The Empire had never encountered a species with technology so far beyond their understanding. If he returned with tales of Earth's capabilities, the High Council might decide this small blue planet wasn't worth the risk of a full-scale conflict. "I cannot speak for the Empire," he said slowly, "but I can bring your proposal to the High Council." "That's all we ask," Dr. Wright replied. "Your ships will be released once you've left our system. Consider it a gesture of good faith." 3 days later, Zirax stood alone on his shuttle as it ascended from Earth. The Dominion and the reinforcement vessels waited at the system's edge, their systems restored, but their crews shaken by the demonstration of Earth's power. As the shuttle broke through the atmosphere, Zirax gazed down at the blue planet. From orbit, it still looked primitive, vulnerable, the perfect target for expansion. Yet he knew the truth now. Earth had done something no other species had managed. They had looked into the dark of space, seen the predators circling, and prepared accordingly. "Navigation," he said into his communicator. "Set course to return to Voxeri Prime. We have much to report." In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Chen watched the Voxeri fleet depart. "Do you think they'll be back?" asked Colonel Jackson. "Eventually," Chen replied, "but not as conquerors. They've learned what happens when you underestimate humanity." Council Chairman Nakamura nodded. "Perhaps it's time to end our isolation. There must be other species in the galaxy who would prefer alliance to conquest." "That decision belongs to all of humanity," Chen said. "But today we've earned our place among the stars. Not through dominance, but through preparation, innovation, and restraint." As the Voxeri ships disappeared into hyperspace, Earth continued its orbit around the Sun. To casual observers, nothing had changed. The nations still bickered, fossil fuels still burned, and humans still gazed at the stars with apparent wonder at their mysteries. But the galaxy had changed forever. Word would spread through the Voxeri Empire and beyond. Tales of the small blue planet that had turned the tables on would-be conquerors. Earth was no longer prey. It had revealed itself as a formidable predator that chose not to hunt. Humanity had passed its first test among the stars not with superior firepower or aggression, but with foresight, unity, and the wisdom to hide their strength until the perfect moment. It was a lesson the Voxuri, and any others who might follow, would not soon forget.